Hey, is it going? Yeah, it's going. Hi, I'm Sally Eckhoff of the Tyler Foundation faculty, here to tell you about a very special thing that happens to me whenever I walk down the street. Sometimes I look at the clouds, but most of the time I'm looking at my feet. And in Philadelphia, of course, you really need to watch where you step. Part of art, especially in the Foundation studios, is creating impossible situations in 2 dimensions. I have a few ways I like to do it, and one of my favorite ones is the one I think about whenever I go walking. I call it expectation. And to explain it, I'm going to call upon my favorite source in the world almost, Claes Oldenburg, the Swedish sculptor. Actually, he's a citizen of New York City and his Raygun Museum. To us Philadelphians, Oldenburg is a successful public artist who has 2 giant public works, the clothespin and the paintbrush, that have assumed a comfortable place in our civic landscape. To the rest of the world, he's famous really for his soft sculptures, the things I first saw in museums when I was a kid. Jeff Koons is sort of the anti-Oldenburg. He does hard versions of soft things. So here's a soft drum kit. Another soft drum kit. That's a bathtub, an ice cream cone, and my favorite, the soft typewriter. But I want to talk about something in Oldenburg's work that's much less discussed, and that's his genius as a collector, and how it's exemplified in a wonderful work known as the Raygun Museum. Here's an early poster for it. Oh yes, he can draw very nicely too. The Raygun Museum was shown in New York very briefly in the late 1970s. Originally, it was conceived as part of another wild Oldenburg project, the Mouse Museum, which is obviously based on a pop museum you all know way too much about. The Mouse Museum was a collection of odd little things, toys and reminders of food mostly, that seemed tasty and silly in some way. Things a mouse might like to own. The Mouse Museum was a little freestanding building made out of plywood, and the Raygun Museum stood next to it. Oldenburg starts out with things that either look like ray guns or are ray guns, but as his eye begins to roam, he begins to see the spirit of the ray guns and things that definitely are not ray guns. I believe it's the act of beaming the eye softly, just above or behind the object, or somewhere slightly off in another direction, that reveals the search image in the most unlikely places. And that is expectation. It's a very important aspect of collage. When I first got into expectation, the only thing I came up with in the beginning was hearts. But then the shapes on the sidewalk began to look like letters. You can go a little crazy with this. You find yourself looking down all the time. Not everything on the sidewalk has a message. Some of it is just lovely blobs and some of it is just stuff. But after a while I started seeing letters everywhere. So I decided to find the entire alphabet. The weird thing about this seems to be that there are some letters that just don't want to appear in nature. Mostly sigmoid shapes, I found. It took a long time to get that W, and the S's were even scarcer. And here's a little coda on my method, in case you're curious. None of these letters are photoshopped or arranged in any way. I didn't even flop them. Pure accidents create accidental beauties. Now whenever I walk, I see letters dancing around my feet. I'm still looking for a decent end, though. If you find one, please let me know.